I would ask Ms. Martha Casborn to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Ms. Katrina, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Casabon? Mr. Toledano? Mr. Davis? Ms. O'Brien? Mr. Mike Smith? Mr. Bender?
Here.
And Mr. Airy? We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, let me just say that tonight we'll have both our parish president give us a little talk in a second on a renewal that we have coming up in March that is important. And at the end of agenda review, we'll have Dr. Preston, our coroner, here to discuss another issue with us. And then from there, Mr. Fitzgerald will be chairing the Finance Committee meeting immediately following. Mr. President Cooper.
One. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Well, as we all know, we have a special election on Saturday, March 20th, an election which was called by the Parish Council on November 5th last year. And it's for a drainage tax continuation or renewal of our 1.69 mills that is dedicated strictly to drainage projects in St. Tammany Parish. And we have actually had this tax in effect for over 40 years, and the public has renewed this every 10 years. And we are certainly asking for the support of our citizens to do so on March 20th. This is a continuation of a critical property tax that has been in place for more than 40 years and is renewed every 10 years. This millage is solely dedicated to funding for improvements, maintenance, and construction of drainage and flood protection measures. Last year alone, this millage helped St. Tammany Parish government fund over $8 million in drainage projects that will mitigate flooding in more than half a dozen subdivisions across the parish. We rely heavily on these funds to continue upgrading our drainage program. Some of the projects that are on the drawing board now and are moving forward include the Goodby Pond, the Coquille Pond, the Westwood Pond, and projects in the Slidell area, including the French Branch Channel, the Fritchie Marsh Restoration, the Lower 15 Drainage, Lower 15 Phase 2 Widening, and the Lower 15 Phase 3 Diversion Canal, just to name a few. I want to remind our citizens to mark their calendar for March 20th, and early voting starts on Saturday, March 6th, and runs for a week with the exception of Sunday. So thank you very much for this opportunity to get word out to our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cooper. And as you said, very important. We all need to get on our text messages and cell phones, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so moving on to the agenda. Let me refer to these items that are pulled, need to be pulled.
That's fine. Yours is for here.
Okay, and under ordinance for introduction, that will be item 10, ordinance calendar number 66, 11. Item 11, ordinance calendar number 6612. Item 12, ordinance calendar number 6613. Excuse me, 12. Yeah, it is 6613. Item 13, ordinance calendar number 6614. Item 14, ordinance calendar number 6615. Item 15, ordinance calendar number 6616. Item 16, ordinance calendar number 6617. Item 17, ordinance calendar number 6618. Item 19, ordinance calendar number 6620. Under resolutions, we have item 3, resolution number C-6412, and item 7, resolution C-6416. Later, we will have under ordinances for adoption, number 16, ordinance number 6596. Number 17, ordinance number 6597. Number 18, ordinance number 6598. Number 19, ordinance number 6599. And ordinance in number 22, ordinance number 6602. Is anyone on the agenda review or any council member in attendance wishing to pull any other item? Seeing none. Anyone from the public? None? Okay. Do I have a motion to refer? Excuse me. Who was that?
Stefancic.
Oh, Mr. Stefancic, go ahead.
The parish president made comments, and he made comments outside of our meeting. We need to be able to put that on the count, and we need to get his recording showing that he is supporting this tax issue. And I think we should have a motion from the parish council to say that we're all in support of this as well. And that gets him on the ballot, or gets him on the floor to make sure his comments are into our meeting. So I don't want us to go through with something and then he have a different view of that. So I want his comments into the meeting if we can.
Okay, so, Mr. Stefancic, if I may, President Cooper, excuse me one second, Mr. Stefancic, you want these comments documented as part of the Agenda Review Committee meeting?
That item is not on our agenda for tonight's meeting.
Correct.
And therefore, what I want to do is get that incorporated into the minutes of tonight's meeting.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking to do.
Sure. Okay, so we're just simply going to get the comments, okay?
It was informational.
It's informational,
I'm
okay?
advising the public that we have
Right. So just so you'll.
I'm in support.
He's, okay. His comments have been shown on TV, they've been before the council, and they'll be on DVD, okay? So, Mr. Cooper, would you like to go up and say, or sit there and say you're in full support of this?
Not at this time. Not at this time.
Okay.
I did that for informational purposes. We have information that we passed out earlier to those that were in
Sure.
the committee that has my name on a letter, as well as Councilman Lorino, quote from both of us in support of this. So
I understand.
If he wants to pass a resolution that the council and the parish president do so on next Thursday perhaps, that would be a great idea.
Sure. Mr. Stefanczyk, that was going to be my next suggestion, which is, why don't we, I mean, we can't add a resolution to this agenda. But we can do an item off the floor,
That's what I was talking about.
but for the council meeting.
For the councilman, I would like to have us say that we're supporting this tax. And we don't have any place where we are on our agenda tonight and/or next week that says we're supporting this tax, and I think we should put it out there and say, we are supporting this tax.
Okay, so you would like the resolution to be prepared as an item off the floor for next week's formal council meeting, is that
Well, that would
correct?
be fine. We can do it any time, but that would be fine.
Okay, so we're not going to do it tonight. We'll let the words speak for themselves tonight. We'll have it prepared for our regular agenda, our regular council meeting next Thursday. And if the council so desires, by a unanimous vote, we can pull it off the floor and then present it, discuss it, and vote on it. Are you good with that, Mr. Stefanczyk?
Mr. Chairman, I was just talking to our office administrator, and he said we can't be for or against the tax, so I would withdraw my request.
Okay, all right. And I think, let me say this for accuracy's sake. This is a renewal.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a renewal for something that is already in existence. It's in place right now, okay? So we're not talking about a new tax. We're talking about the public's voting on a renewal of this existing drainage millage, okay? And we can certainly, though, parish president can make a presentation at next week's council meeting as a presentation item by our parish president, okay? Emily, are you're in agreement with that?
Yes.
He can make the public aware informationally like he did tonight at our council meeting next Thursday night.
As long as we put it on the agenda, yes.
Yes, it can, I was just looking at the home rule charter just now, and items not on an agenda can be considered upon approval by 2/3 of the authorized membership of the council. So if it's not on the agenda currently, it can be added to the agenda, or it can be taken up on the off-the-floor agenda.
Okay. President Cooper, go ahead.
As I volunteered, Katrina, would you turn the microphone on, please? I volunteered this evening to make the public aware of the election coming up. I volunteered that. I do not want to be put on the agenda. I don't, I'm not.
Let me just.
Are you asking me, or you?
No, let me, if I can, let me take control of this, and then,
Thank you.
Emily, I'll let you, our council administrator, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, okay? I don't think there's any problem with our parish president providing, or any council member providing informational content to the people of this parish, and including the parish council, okay? This is anything but an informational process. In the interest of transparency, we should be given information out like this with ease. This is not pulling anything on anybody. Either people are going to come vote or they won't vote. In an effort to get the vote out, an informational presentation, I think, is completely in order. I don't think it needs a place on the agenda. Miss Emily, I'll let you know if that's correct. I'll ask you, is that correct? I'm giving you my views. as being on the council for 20-something years, I've never heard this come up.
I mean, I think dealing with semantics regarding points of information versus presentations, if this is a presentation, your home rule charter states that at all regular meetings of the council shall operate from an agenda which shall have been published at least 2 days excluding Saturdays prior to the meeting. You still have time to do that if you wanted to add it as a presentation on the agenda, if you wanted to just make an announcement at the meeting. I'm not
Okay.
sure that that would count as a presentation, but that is what your home rule charter states.
Yeah, Mr. Parish President, I'll make the suggestion. I think after this meeting and tomorrow, we'll discuss this with legal counsel and with our council administrator. If you're in agreement with that.
Yeah, I'm not the one making the request. You all are making a request of me.
No, President Cooper, in executive committee, you asked, okay?
Tonight I did, yes.
Well, okay, but wait 1 second. You asked if you could make this announcement information to the public, to the council. That's how I view it. Very, very simple, straightforward. Okay, now I'm simply asking you, do you want to make that same announcement at next Thursday's council meeting?
I'll be happy to.
Okay. So, thank you, Mr. President. So, Ms. Emily, what would you like us to do?
I think the most proper thing to do would be to vote to add it as a presentation on next Thursday's agenda.
You want us to vote tonight on this?
No, you don't need to vote on that. You would just need, you could add it to the agenda as an off-the-floor item to be taken up off the floor.
We're going to do off the floor.
Okay, then
Okay.
Katrina will be preparing that agenda.
Thank you very, very much, okay? I think we're now in good shape, and thanks to everybody. Okay, so with no other items pulled, let's go to, I need a motion and a second to refer the items not pulled from ordinances for introduction and resolutions to the entire council. Motion by Ms. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Davis. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. So they are referred. Moving to under ordinances for introduction, item 10. Unlike last month's agenda review meeting where we didn't have a finance committee following that, Ms. Long gave us information on each one of these items. We talked about it in advance. She is going to provide that information at this finance committee meeting that is following tonight's meeting, okay? So, excuse me. Okay. Thank you. So this has been referred to the Finance Committee. I need a motion on item 10 to refer to the Finance Committee. That is ordinance to amend the 2021 operating budget, amendment number 3. Motion by Mr. Stefanczyk, seconded by Ms. I'm sorry? Oh, God, can we get this meeting? I mean, goodness gracious. Mr. Stefanczyk, I'm sorry. You're not on the agenda review committee meeting. Therefore, I'm sorry I can't let you make the motion. Who is on agenda review? Okay. Mr. Davis, motion, and seconded by Ms. O'Brien. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. And listen, let me make this clear because I don't want to embarrass anybody. Our council clerk is telling me correctly, okay? So I do want to tell you I appreciate that, Ms. Buckley. Unfortunately, we've gotten so off a track with this whole thing, this meeting at this point, okay, that we just need to get back on track. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Bender?
Yes?
Actually, I'd like to move to refer items 10 through 17 and 19 to the Finance Committee in globo.
I'll accept that motion. Do we have a second by amended agenda review? Ms. Hasbon, motion to, all items 10 through 19.
Through
direct-
17 and 19.
Through 17 and 19, directly to the referral to the Finance Committee. All motion by Ms., do we have a second on that?
Not yet, sir.
Mr. Airy?
I'd just like to amend that to take out, we're not talking about the resolution number 3 and number 7, correct?
No, we're just doing 10 through 17 and 19.
Then I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Ms. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Airy. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien and Mr. Airy. Under resolutions, item 3, resolution CS number 6412, a resolution approving the holding of an election in the St. Tammany Parish Recreation District number 11, State of Louisiana, on Saturday, October the 9th, 2021, to authorize the levy of a special tax therein. We have our bond counsel in attendance, Mr. Schluter.
Thank you. Grant Schluter with Fuller Udell, Bond Counsel. This is a renewal of a 10 mil tax for Recreation District Number 11. It is scheduled for the regular election date on October 9th, and the purpose is the same. The millage rate is the same. The term is the same, and there are representatives from the district here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Schluter. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Schluter from the council or the public? Okay, seeing none, and Mr. Schluter, I'd ask you to stay, okay? Need a motion and a second on item number 3, resolution C-6412, to refer to the council. Motion by, who seconded it? Motion by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Mike Smith. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, item 7 on the resolutions that has been pulled is resolution C-6416, a resolution approving the issuance of not exceeding $500,000 of limited tax bonds of Fire Protection District number 3 of St. Tammany Parish, State of Louisiana. We have bond counsel, Mr. Schluter.
Yes, the Fire District 3 is proposing to issue $500,000 of limited tax bonds secured by their 9.94 mills tax. They are entering, the purchaser will be their fiscal agent bank, which is Hancock Whitney, at a 2.37% interest rate. It's $500,000 for 5 years. And the fire chief is here, and another representative, if you have any questions concerning the proposed loan.
Thank you, Mr. Schluter. Does anyone on the council have any questions for Mr. Schluter or the fire chief? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Schluter, thank you for attending tonight and providing us with this good information.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, so I need a motion on resolution CS number C-6412. Motion by Mr. Davis, seconded by Ms. Casabon. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Moving to...
Mr. Chairman,
Excuse me?
you read the number as 6412. It was actually 6416.
Item 64... excuse me, I picked up item 3. Item 6416, thank you, Ms. Buckley. Okay. Under ordinances for adoption, these are all different items. Number 16 is, okay, we have, does anyone want to make, yeah, there we go, Ms. O'Brien.
I'd like to make a motion to refer 16, 17, 18, 19, and 22 to finance.
Motion by Ms. O'Brien to refer 16, ordinance calendar number 6596, 17, 18, 19, and 22 on ordinance for adoption, refer to the Finance Committee. Need a second? seconded by Mr. Davis. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next, okay. We have a, Dr. Preston. Is Dr. Preston's here? Yeah,
Yes,
there he
sir.
is. Dr. Preston, I don't know whether, I don't want to use the word presentation. I'm going to call this an informational comment.
It is.
Yeah, after I came in, I do have a Kevlar vest in the car, so I thought about going and getting it, but I think we'll do just fine. I'm here to try and inform the council, as well as to make myself available to answer questions about an endeavor by me to rescind Act 181 or RS 135725, which was passed in 2013, that essentially shifted all the assets of the coroner's office into parish government and put certain safeguards in place to create transparency so that there was not any future misbehavior. I spoke on Monday with Tim Burns, who authored the bill at that time, and he was very clear that it was a bill that was passed to curtail the activity of one specific individual, period. And my feeling is that at this time, we have gotten past the need for that. And so the bill is really obsolete. I've been before this council a number of times. We've worked very, very hard at transparency. Our website has productivity reports. It has our financial reports. And so any citizen with the internet has the capability of seeing what's going on in the coroner's office. Additionally, the act called for a forensic audit every year. That has occurred every single year, and I understand that that practice was so favored by the legislative auditor that it has been expanded statewide. That, of course, will continue without any change whatsoever. So the main effect will be to shift the assets back to the coroner for the control of the coroner and to allow a little more autonomy in order to accomplish some projects. And as an example, the parish made some improvements on the land, and that cut us off from a small maintenance barn that was on the property, in the back of the property. And so now we're in the process, working with the parish, to create a new maintenance barn that is closer to the facility. And when meeting with the architects this week, they kind of pitched us what they saw as a timeline, and of course they said, assuming that nothing goes wrong. And I had to interject that, you know, when something goes wrong is when it goes over cost. And under the current situation, I would then come to the council, amend the budget, wait 30 days, have that approved. And so that would essentially make a 60-day delay in getting that process moving forward. The current act really calls for only a few things. It requires us to use the ad valorem tax in strict conformance with the statute that was originally passed. Of course, we're going to do that, and as I said, it's totally transparent. I'm not as worried about the legislature as I am with the FBI. So I am not the least little bit inclined to use this money in any improper way. The second was to comply with all public bid laws. We already do that. And of course, the fact that it is a bid law tells us that we have to follow it, and we're very, very, very careful, probably even over careful, putting out to bid some things that don't necessarily fall into that criteria. And then the third is the annual forensic audits, and like I said, we have already been engaged in those forensic audits. We've had a clean audit every single year since my election, and I certainly intend to keep operating the office in a way that we will continue to have a clean audit. This, of course, by no way severs our relationship as elected officials. Ultimately, you know, I have 250,000 bosses that I have to answer to, and I'm very cognizant of that. And we're trying to always do things that are transparent and forward-looking. And we've established a lot of programs, both in the mental health arena, as well as a public health initiative that we're undertaking right now to try and reduce the infant death rate. Again, I think that this would remove a little bit, I guess, of the nuisance factor of the coroner's office for the parish council, that every project that we do comes to you, and as we've said many times, the people who do the job probably are the ones who know how to do it best, and I think the coroner is probably the person who can best administer the coroner's office. And so I've been working with Mary Dubuisson. We have a drafted proposed legislation, which I have here if you would like to read. I will just note for you, if this was cracking a chest, I've got that down pat, how to open the chest, cross-clamp the aorta, open the pericardium, sew the heart. Passing a bill, not exactly covered that in medical school. So there's been a learning curve associated with this. One of the things we discovered kind of at the 11th hour was both Representative Dubuisson and I considered this a local bill, and that's why I feel it's so important to bring it to you and to answer all of your questions and to try and solicit your support. And so in this packet, it says that it will be advertised in the Farmer. The Legislative Legal Division apparently said that coroners are like judges and sheriffs, and so it's a general bill. And so it's not considered a local bill, so the advertisement is not necessary. Having said that, that's why I'm here, is to make my intentions known and to answer any questions I can in this forum or on a one-on-one. I'm very accessible. Most of you have called me at one time or another, and I'm happy to take your calls.
Thank you, Dr. Preston. Does any member of the council have any questions for Dr. Preston? Any comments? Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Ms. O'Brien?
Now, that was from last time, but I will go ahead and say Representative Dubuisson did reach out to me, and I agree completely with what she's attempting to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Mr. Stefanski?
Now I think I'll get it straight this time, but
You're entitled, Steve.
I do want to, I think we should go on record as supporting this with our legislatures. He's going to need whatever help we can give him, and I think that's the thing we should do. So I would like to move under this to say that we are in favor of this from a council standpoint.
Yes, sir.
And providing any help we need to get it passed.
Okay.
Say this from the
Okay, so let me just let the entire council know, and Dr. Preston, I'll confirm this. We would have until our April council meeting, okay, to pass a resolution with whichever wording that however we want to state it. It'll give us time to put it in a proper context. Discussed this today with President Cooper and our chairman, Mike Lorino, in our meeting. I want to let the council members know that. So we'll be putting together Mr. Stefanski's request and recommendation, which I agree with, and it'll actually be coming on the April agenda as an agenda item that we would vote on, discuss, and the people would be aware that we are in support of Dr. Preston's efforts. Okay, Mr. Excuse me.
Oh,
Go ahead, Dr. Preston.
I was about to thank you and step out, but Mr. Davis, do you have a
Mr.
question
Davis.
for me?
Yeah, simply, thank you. Thank you for doing a good job. I think the least government control in this matter is needed and warranted from all the actions you've taken, you and your whole staff, and thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Chairman Lorino.
Thank you, Jerry. Chuck, thank you. You know, we talked about this a few times, and I'm so glad that you taken the initiative to move it forward, and you'll be responsible to the people you should be responsible to, the citizens. And I can only hope that the DA's office follows suit, because I think we need to go in that direction also, but we'll talk to them at another time.
Thank you, Mr. Lorino. And I would simply add, so when we ended 2013, every chairman since 2013 has kind of, that chairman created a quasi position. It has no real authority, called the coroner liaison, okay, for the parish council. And when Dr. Preston took office in May of that year, or even after the election, I asked him if he wanted me to do that, and he agreed. Every year since then, every chairman's asked me to do the same, but I've never accepted without talking to Dr. Preston. So I've had very, very close contact with Dr. Preston over the years. I will just say this, and I want to say what Mr. Davis said, and everyone else, Mr. Stefancic, Ms. O'Brien, Chairman Lorino. I have never seen Dr. Preston be anything but straightforward, transparent. As I finally say, he knows how to squeeze a nickel. And you know what? When you're running a good-sized entity with the people's money, that's important. So, Doc, you continue to do a great job. You've always been at our council meetings over the years to present us with extra information, and I'm personally going to be happy to support this. So thank you. We'll have it on the April agenda.
Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing the original non-renewable resource, your time, and I won't take any more of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Preston. I'm assuming no one from the public wants to speak on this or comment? Okay, thank you. With that, I need a motion to adjourn, and we'll move on to the Finance Committee meeting. Motion by Ms. O'Brien, seconded by Ms. Casabon to adjourn. Thank you.
You have 15-minute break, right? 15-minute break? Okay, we can't start till 7, right? Well, I think it's advertised as a 7 o'clock meeting, yeah.